There are good matches, there are great matches, there are epic matches, there are legendary matches. But then there's those matches that just transcend the very fabric of what we do.
I've been all over the world, and I'm convinced that I'm the absolute best ever.
I will say this, anyone who began their backyard wrestling career at any point in the early 2000s knows immediately what match this is. They know it, they know every spot.
Representing the state of Indiana. That's fucking right.
Is the guy that's better than all of you. This is the Prodigy.
I mean, it barely needs any introduction as far as the community is concerned. This is gospel on canvas to the underground wrestling world. This is Chris Castle versus the Prodigy. The match that some argue single-handedly transitioned backyard wrestling from Old Testament to New Testament sensibilities. Up to this point in 2010, we had seen ESW, we had seen KBW and EBW. There was plenty of innovative and well thought out matches with new ideas for spots, and I mean, of course, at the time you had Jersey All Pro and Ring of Honor leading the way along with 2KW in New York. But things like this, the different very highly detailed combinations and transitions these two executed in this match, had never been seen done to this much detail in what could only be described as one of backyard wrestling's premier 30-minute Broadway clinics. And I mean, it pretty much defined what a Broadway would be in backyard wrestling, as far as getting in a wrestling ring and working an in-ring story with technical brilliance. Beautiful arm drag counter by Castle. He tries for another, but is forced to a hip toss by Prodigy. Prodigy tries to reverse and is reversed into a pin. And then Prodigy reverses that into a crucifix pin, which is very nice. Castle gets up, but then runs and gets caught into a steamboat arm drag whip. Look at that. Sends him right to the corner. And we get a standoff before another lockup. And I like that little wrench right there. Look at that. We go to standing side headlock. Very nice posture. Castle forces him to a shoot off. Shoulder block by Prodigy. Prodigy comes over for another. And then look at this. Castle's going to drop down and then leapfrog here. But then Prodigy's going to realize what's going on and catch him and then whip him into the ropes. Check this out. Leapfrog by Prodigy. Tries for the judo leg throw. Castle jumps and rolls over. Very nice. Tries for a swing. Look at that. Castle leapfrogs. This is just great stuff. Look at that. We get another standoff. We go for another elbow collar tie up, and it's forced in the clinch to the rope. Look at that. Castle going to whip him off. Prodigy goes under the leapfrog with that. And then Castle gets the actual judo leg throw right there. Very nicely done. That's sort of what some would call a monkey flip, like a reverse monkey flip. Castle applies a knuckle lock, then goes for a beautiful Lucha Libre head scissor takedown right there. Very nicely done. Look at that. We get some shoving, and this was just good exposition. The slaps, I mean, they were very memorable. Now this would obviously set off Prodigy, and this is what I mean when I tell people about, you know, the speed at which you should do a powder out chase. I mean, it should move this fast. I mean, here's the thing. Castle gets in and immediately hits Prodigy, immediately swing drop kicks Prodigy, runs and hits the suicide dive like a bullet. Look at that. Beautiful. And, you know, I mean, in terms of urgency, this match is to be studied because they understood this. They understood, you know, how to sell the urgency of situations. They also knew how to lay in without actually, you know, potatoing each other. And, you know, for the time period, there were very few as fearless as Chris Castle. I mean, you had definitely some talent like, you know, the suicidal all-star Mike Cross or Danny Danger, Fuji, guys like Joey Japan and Camo Kid. You know, the very few that could offer that high-risk style with such elegant detail, you know. And, I mean, Chris Castle was the one that just left everyone in shock. And, I'm hoping that those who watch this review will see from this footage that these guys had all three factors that make a great match. I mean, they had the trust, they had the toughness, they definitely had the technical expertise. It was all there. And then you had just this incredible innovation with spots like this. I thought he was going coast to coast, but this was also really good. No one had ever seen a springboard into a diving roll for the backstabber. I mean, that's just putting some extra pizzazz on it. Look at that backflip, then jumps over the top rope and hits an Asai moonsault. Look at that. That is just phenomenal. I mean, talk about putting the extra icing on this thing. Look at that. Gonna whip him to the corner. Look at the sell there by Prodigy. My God. Look at that. Look at the intensity. Look at that impact. Look at this right here. He comes off. Beautiful body splash. That's how you do a body splash to the corner, people. And look at that drop kick. That drop kick was perfection. In fact, I'm glad he went for the cover there. That too is just attention to detail. You hit a drop kick that pretty. I mean, that was Maven nice. Look at that right there. Swing and a miss. Prodigy comes up, catches him. Beautiful backdrop. Look at that. And then look at this. Castle does the right thing. Shoulder up. And at this point in the match, they start working in some holds. Prodigy goes for a bow and arrow. Castle manages to break out of it. Man, and it was applied so perfectly. I mean, they did that. Look at this. Castle locking in for the Indian death lock. Look at that. It doesn't get any better than that. The way they sold it was phenomenal. The counter by Prodigy with the ankle lock was good, and then the banana split, and then the sneak shot to the nuts. He was waiting. I mean, he looked for the referee to turn his head for a split second and just nailed it. Beautifully done by all people involved in this. And then to have Prodigy double down by headbutting him in the groin was just a great thought. Look at that. Illegal choke while distracting the ref. I mean, man, a cold kick to the face by Prodigy. Goes for the cover, gets the 2 count. Castle gets up and begins to retaliate here. And then I did like this combination. Look at this. Runs in. Beautiful drop kick right there. And I love the sell by Prodigy. I mean, that was just iconic. They battle through the figure 4 spot, and then we get some great aggression by Prodigy in the corner. I mean, just phenomenal stuff. Then we get this really nice backdrop suplex. And one thing I absolutely love about this match is the just crazy grittiness of it. I mean, he just let Castle fall on his own fatigue, then begins to just pummel him. Castle fights back. This match just felt like a fight. I mean, it was a battle. And I remember, most of all of us would study this match. I mean, I can recall a great many attempts throughout the GBYWN to try to top this match. And, I mean, it just never happened. Castle hits a devastating running forearm on Prodigy there. Look at the sell by Prodigy. Phenomenal. Great follow-up here and aggression by Castle as he goes into a bridging crossface cattle mutilation. Then goes for the actual crossface. Prodigy tries to roll through, but then Castle stays on him, maintaining the applied crossface. Prodigy able to get a rope break there and then shot off the ropes, then gets caught in an atomic drop. Very nicely executed. Great sell there. Look at that clothesline by Castle. Runs in. Look at the postures. Look at the selling right there. Gets him in a final cut right there. Comes off the top rope for an elbow drop miss. Prodigy attempts to run in clothesline, but is caught in the rear waist lock for a multiple German suplex here by Chris Castle. I mean, this was just phenomenal stuff, and the way they sold it was great. Prodigy just really showing incredible experience. Beautiful elbow drop right there by Castle. Castle attempts to hit the super kick, but is caught by Prodigy and swung around in a counter. Tries for the clothesline. Castle ducks. Hits a flying dragon kick. Referee goes down for the count here, and we get a 2.9. Then came the spot that left the backyard wrestling community speechless. The springboard corkscrew into the Hurricane Rana attempt, reversed by the Prodigy into a very nicely applied sharpshooter. I mean, this had everyone going nuts. And then reversed by Chris Castle into one of his own. I mean, this was iconic. And all of this would lead to the finishing sequence that would define an entire generation of backyard wrestling. As AEW's Tyrant said, it's gospel. Peerless in its quality, awe-inspiring in its execution. What happened in that ring that day in Indiana would set a completely new standard in terms of quality and would draw a definitive line between styles. A transformative event caught in the conundrum between the fandom and the business.
ICW! 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 ICW!
And if you want to keep up with the latest in backyard, underground, and independent wrestling, tune in to Sportswire Radio live on YouTube featuring the incomparable Reverend Tom Bryce. And don't miss the Nemesis sessions with Taft Taylor. Catch all the exclusive interviews with all the wrestlers featured in the Copper Star Reviews. #AllWrestlingMatters.